So we kept at it, we won that fight. Today, that money is going where it should have been going in the first place. It's going directly to students. We're bypassing the middleman. That means we can raise Pell Grants to a higher level. More people are eligible. More young people are able to afford college because of what we did. Over 10 years, that's going to be $60 billion that's going to students that wasn't going to students before. Now, then last fall, I acted to cap student loan payments faster so that nearly 1.6 million students who make their payments on time will only have to pay 10% of their monthly income towards loans once they graduate. Now, this is useful. This is especially helpful for young people who decide, like Dominique, to become teachers, or maybe they go into one of the social work or one of the helping professions. And they may not get paid a lot of money, but they've got a lot of debt. And so being able to cap how much per month you're paying as a percentage of your income gives you a little bit more security knowing you can choose that profession. And then we wanted every student to have access to a simple fact sheet on student loans and financial aid so you can have all the information you need to make your own choices about how to pay for college. And we set up this new consumer watchdog called the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And so they're now putting out this information. We call it Know Before You Owe. Know before you owe. It's something Michelle and I wish we had when we were in your shoes. Because sometimes we got surprised by some of this debt that we were racking up. So that's what we've done, but it's not enough just to increase student aid. We can't keep subsidizing skyrocketing tuition or we'll run out of money. And colleges and universities, they've got to do their part also to keep college costs down. So I've told Congress to steer federal aid to those schools that keep tuition affordable, that provide good value, that serve their students well. And we've put colleges on notice. If you can't stop tuition from just going up every single year a lot faster than inflation, then funding you get from taxpayers, at least at the federal level, will go down. Because we need to push colleges to do better and hold them accountable if they don't. Now, public universities know well, and Governor Perdue knows well, states also have to do their part by making higher education a higher priority in their budgets. I know that Bev is fighting hard to make tuition affordable for North Carolina families. That's a priority for her. But, you know, last year, over 40 states cut their higher education spending. And these budget cuts have been among the largest factors in tuition increases at public colleges over the past decade. So we're challenging states to take responsibility. We told them, if you can find new ways to bring down costs of college and make it easier for students to graduate, then we'll help you do it. But I want everybody here, as you're thinking about voting, make sure you know where your state representative and your state senator stands when it comes to funding higher education. They've got to be responsible, they've got to be accountable as well to prioritize higher education. All right. So, helping more families, helping more young people afford a higher education, offering incentives for states and colleges and universities to keep their costs down. That's what we've been doing. Now, Congress has to do their part. They need to extend the tuition tax credit that we put in place back when I came into office. It's saving middle-class families thousands of dollars. Congress needs to safeguard aid for low-income students like Pell Grants so that today's freshmen and sophomores knows that they'll be able to count on it. That's what Congress has to do. Congress needs to give more young people the chance to earn their way through college by doubling the number of work-study jobs over the next 5 years. That's what Congress needs to do. And then there's one specific thing, and now this is where you come in. There's one specific thing that Congress needs to do right now to prevent the interest rates on student loans, federal student loans, from shooting up and shaking you down. So this is where you come in. I want to explain this. Everybody listen carefully. 5 years ago, Congress cut the rate on federal student loans in half. That was a good thing to do. But on July 1st, that's a little over 2 months from now, that rate cut expires. And if Congress does nothing, the interest rates on those loans will double overnight. So I'm assuming a lot of people here have federal student loans. The interest rates will double unless Congress acts by July 1st. And just to give you some sense of perspective, for each year that Congress doesn't act, the average student with these loans will rack up an additional $1,000 in debt. An extra $1,000. That's basically a tax hike for more than 7 million students across America. More than 160,000 students here in North Carolina alone. Anybody here can afford to pay an extra $1,000 right now? No! I didn't think so. So stopping this from happening should be a no-brainer. Helping more of our young people afford college, that should be at the forefront of America's agenda. It shouldn't be a Republican or a Democratic issue. You know, this is an American issue. You know, the Stafford loans we're talking about, they're named after a Republican senator. The Pell Grants that have helped millions of Americans earn a college education, that's named after a Democratic senator. When Congress cut those rates 5 years ago, 77 Republicans in the House of Representatives voted for it, along with a couple of hundred Democrats, including the Democrats who are here. So this shouldn't be a partisan issue. And yet, the Republicans who run Congress right now have not yet said whether or not they'll stop your rates from doubling. We're 2 months away. Some have hinted that they'd only do it if we cut things like aid for low-income students instead. So the idea would be, well, all right, we'll keep interest rates low if we take away aid from other students who need it. That doesn't make sense. One Republican congresswoman said just recently, I'm going to quote this because, you know, I know you guys will think I'm making it up. She's no. She said she had very little tolerance for people who tell me they graduate with debt because there's no reason for that. I'm just quoting here. I'm just quoting. She said students who rack up student loan debt are just sitting on their butts, having opportunity dumped in your lap. I mean, I'm reading it here, so I didn't make this up. Now, can you imagine saying something like that? Those of you who've had to take out student loans, you didn't do it because you're lazy. You didn't do it lightly. You don't like debt. I mean, a lot of you, your parents are helping out, but it's tough on them. They're straining. And so you do it because the cost of college keeps going up, and you know there's an investment in your future. So if these folks in Washington were serious about making college more affordable, they wouldn't have voted for a budget that could cut financial aid for tens of millions of college students by an average of more than $1,000.
Absolutely.
They certainly wouldn't let your student loan rates double overnight. So when you ask them, well, why aren't you making this commitment? They say, well, we got to bring down the deficit. Of course, this is the deficit they helped run up over the past decade. Didn't pay for 2 wars, didn't pay for 2 massive tax cuts, and now this is the reason why you want students to pay more? They just voted to keep giving billions of dollars in taxpayer subsidies to big oil companies that are raking in record profits. They just voted to let millionaires and billionaires keep paying lower tax rates than middle-class workers and their secretaries. They even voted to give an average tax cut of at least $150,000 to folks like me, the wealthiest Americans, a tax cut paid for by cutting things like education and job training programs that give students new opportunities to work and succeed. Now, that's their priorities, and that doesn't make any sense. Do we want to keep tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans who don't need them and didn't ask for them, or do we want to make sure that they're paying their fair share? Do we want to keep subsidizing big oil, or do we want to make sure we're investing in clean energy? Do we want to jack up interest rates on millions of students, or do we want to keep investing in things that will help us and help them in the long term, things like education and science and a strong military and care for our veterans? We can't do both. We can't have it both ways. We've got to make a choice about what our priorities are. You know, I've said this before, but I'm just going to keep on repeating it. In America, we admire success. We aspire to it. I want everybody to be rich. I want everybody to work and hustle and start businesses and study your tails off to get there. But America is not just about a few people doing well. America is about giving everybody a chance to do well. Everybody. Not just a few, everybody. That's what built this country. That's what the American dream's all about. A lot of us had parents or grandparents who said, maybe I can't go to college, but someday my son, he'll go to college, and I'll be so proud of him. A lot of us have parents or grandparents who said, maybe I can't start my own business, but maybe someday my daughter, she's going to start her own business. She's going to work for herself. A lot of us have parents or grandparents who said, I may be an immigrant, but I believe that this is a country where no matter what you look like and where you come from, no matter what your name is, you can make it if you try. North Carolina, that's who we are. That's our values. That's what we're about. So no, set your sights lower. That's not an education plan. You're on your own. That's not an economic plan. We can't just cut our way to prosperity. Previous generations made the investments necessary for us to succeed, to build a strong middle class, to create the foundation for America's leadership in science and technology and medicine and manufacturing. And now it's our turn. We've got to do the right thing. I want one of you to discover the cure for cancer, or the formula for fusion, or the next game-changing American industry. And that means we've got to support those efforts. So if you agree with me, I need your help. I need you to tell your member of Congress, we're not going to set our sights lower. We're not going to settle for something less. Now, all of you are lucky. You already have 3 congressmen who are on board, so you don't need to call them. They're already doing the right thing. But I'm asking everyone else who's watching or following online, call your member of Congress, email them, write on their Facebook page, tweet them. We've got a hashtag. Here's the hashtag for you to tweet them. Don't double my rate. Right? Don't double my rate. All right? I'm going to repeat that. The hashtag is don't double my rate. You tweet, everybody say it, just so everybody remembers it. Don't double my rate. It's pretty straightforward. Your voice matters. So stand up, be heard, be counted. Tell them now is not the time to double interest rates on your student loans. Now's the time to double down on smart investments to build a strong and secure middle class. Now's the time to double down on building an America that lasts. Absolutely. You and me, all of us here, every single one of us, we're here only because somebody somewhere felt responsibility not just for themselves, but they felt responsibility for something larger. You know, it started with them feeling responsible for their family. So your parents sacrificed, your grandparents sacrificed to make sure you could succeed. But then they thought bigger than that. They thought about their neighborhood. They thought about their community. They thought about their country. Now they thought about the planet. And now it's our turn to be responsible. It's our turn to keep that promise alive. And no matter how tough these times have been, no matter how many obstacles that may stand in our way, I promise you, North Carolina, there are better days ahead. We will emerge stronger than we were before because I believe in you. I believe in your future. I believe in the investment you're making right here in North Carolina. That tells me that you share my faith in America's future, and that's what drives me every single day. Your hopes, your dreams, and I'm not quitting now because in America we don't quit. We get each other's backs. We help each other get ahead. And if we work together, we'll remind the world just why it is that America's the greatest nation on earth. Thank you, everybody. God bless you. God bless you, God.